The Kidnapping of Christina Lattimore is a young adult mystery novel written by Joan Lowery Nixon in 1979. The book employs a direct, first-person narrative, allowing readers to experience the story solely through the perspective of the main character. It received the Edgar Award for Best Young Adult Mystery in 1980. The story revolves around Christina Lattimore, who is having a conversation with her friend Lorna about an upcoming school trip to France. Although the entire class is going, Christina lacks the funds to join them, which seems ironic considering her affluent family background. Her grandmother, Christabel, is a prominent figure in the oil business, and her parents, although distant and strict, are financially well off. While Christina has a trust fund set up by Christabel, the grandmother refuses to use it for the trip. Christina, a high school junior, struggles with self-doubt, unsure of her identity and whether she has any value in the world. She finds it challenging to express herself and spends time with Lorna at a local diner, brainstorming ways to raise money for the trip. During their time there, Christina becomes uncomfortable when she notices Zach, the restaurant manager, staring at her and whispering to his wife, Loretta. Upon returning home, Christina is disturbed to find tape over the lock on the door, indicating that it does not properly latch. She questions her mother and their maid, Della, about any unusual occurrences, but both deny anything out of the ordinary. Dissatisfied with their responses, Christina decides to go shopping. When she returns, someone approaches her from behind, leading to a struggle. Despite biting the assailant's hand, Christina is drugged and loses consciousness. When Christina regains consciousness, she finds herself in a dark basement. A masked man enters, and she recognizes him as the person she had struggled with earlier due to his bandaged hand. Moreover, she notices a wedding ring on his finger. The man presents her with a document and demands that she sign it, and Christina recognizes his voice as belonging to Zach from the diner. In the midst of her captivity, Christina discovers that the piece of paper given to her is actually a ransom demand. Despite her fear, she remains determined and utilizes her sharp intellect. Observing her surroundings closely, Christina locates a screwdriver and uses it to pry open the door on her second night in the basement. As she cautiously ascends the stairs, she glimpses Zach's arrival with the police through a window. To her surprise, Loretta suddenly emerges and threatens Christina with a gun. However, instead of using it against her, Loretta throws the weapon in Christina's direction and flees. Meanwhile, the police enter the scene with Zach. In a state of shock, Christina finds herself being arrested, even though she had been holding the gun for self-defense. She learns that her family paid the ransom, but Zach is falsely accusing her of orchestrating the kidnapping, using the gun she held as evidence, claiming it belongs to her father. Realizing the reason for the tape on the door lock, Zach and Loretta's attempt to steal her father's gun, Christina comprehends the depth of the betrayal. Zach fabricates a story, alleging that Christina conceived the kidnapping scheme to obtain money for the class trip. Interviewed by Detective York, assisted by her lawyer, Christina encounters Kelly, a newspaper reporter who initially believes in her innocence when others doubt it. Gradually, Detective York and Kelly come to the same conclusion and bring Christina back home. Upon returning, Christina is devastated to discover that her own family believes she planned the entire kidnapping for the sake of the trip funds. Determined to prove her innocence, she embarks on an investigation with the assistance of Kelly, as they follow various leads and clues. Recognizing that someone else must have been involved due to Zach and Loretta's intimate knowledge of her home and personal life, Christina becomes suspicious of Rosella, her father's secretary, who behaves strangely, perhaps suspecting Christina's involvement in the crime. During her quest for the truth, Christina encounters Della, their maid, who cautions her against playing the role of detective and advises her not to trust Kelly, as she suspects he may have ulterior motives. Detective York also attempts to dissuade Christina, emphasizing the dangers involved in her pursuit of answers. After receiving a threatening phone call, Christina becomes fearful and decides to stop attending school. During this time, Kelly reaches out to her and shares his belief that the third kidnapper could be either her grandmother, Christabel, Rosella, or Della. Intrigued by the possibilities, Christina devises a plan of her own. She contacts Zach, arranging a meeting and implying that she is aware of their scheme. With cautious determination, she follows Zach, hoping he will lead her to the elusive third person involved. As Christina exits her car to tail Zach into an apartment building, someone unexpectedly grabs her from behind. However, it turns out to be Kelly, who intervenes to prevent her from entering the dangerous premises. Recognizing the peril, he insists that she should not proceed any further. Undeterred, Christina devises a second plan. She visits Loretta, applying pressure and appealing to her conflicting emotions. Eventually, Loretta confesses that her husband, Zach, had been acquainted with Della's son during his time in prison, leading to their collaboration in the kidnapping plot. With this revelation, Della, her son, Zach, and Loretta are all apprehended and taken into custody for their crimes. Christina's family finally comes to understand that she had been telling the truth all along. This newfound recognition instills within Christina a renewed sense of self-worth and self-confidence, as she bravely stood up for herself. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.